going on, everybody? I am back with another video for today. I'm going to go ahead and reintroduce myself, even though some of you may know who I already am. But for those of you who are new, my name is Sheikah. And if you haven't already, gone ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so that way you'll know when I post new videos. So, I hope everybody is having a great day. So far, it is now 7:44 a.m. here on this beautiful Monday morning. Well, if you're on the other side of the world, and it's either good night or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. All right, so, on my last video, I kind of went over a little bit of, kind of talked about the physical examination and stuff like that. So I hope you all really enjoyed that video. I hope it wasn't too long. Y'all, if my videos are too long and y'all need for me to chop them up, please let me know. So today I kind of just want to touch base just a little bit of kind of what happened in the process of what happened before I went to MEPS. So I was in JRTC in high school, and I didn't want to do it, and my mom just like, girl, you gonna do it. You gonna do it. Regardless if you like it or not, you gonna do it. And guess what, y'all? I did it. Once I got into it, I fell in love with it. And I was only able to do my 9th grade year. So I only did 1 year JRTC. And that was because I was graduating early. So I had to get my main classes that I needed done out of the way. And then when my senior year finally came, I only had 2 classes my senior year. So I got up early in the morning. I was done with school about 11, 12 o'clock. And I would leave and go to work. Or unless I had basketball. And still, even then, I couldn't even really do basketball because I was graduating early. And I would be graduating before the season ends. So I was graduating in December. So I wouldn't be able to play because once I graduated, I would be considered no longer a high school student. So, I wanted to go into the military, and at that time when I wanted to go, which was like my 10th grade year, 11th grade year, I was my mom's only child at the time. And when I told her I was wanting to do this, she was like, no, you're my only child at the time. No, you're my only child, and I just can't bear burying or thinking about burying my only child, and da 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 da. And so I was like, all right, mom. So at that time, I had already talked to a recruiter. I was like in the game. The only thing I was doing was waiting until I turned 17 so I can take the ASVAB test. And like I was good, set up and ready to go. The only thing I had to do was wait till I turned 17, which I only had like a couple of more months before I turned 17. So that way I can go and take the ASVAB and all this other stuff. So then I told my recruiter, well, I changed my mind. My mom is like, no, not going to do it. No, ma'am. So I ended up graduating. So fast forward, I ended up graduating high school, and I wanted to go then. And by that time, my mom had my sister my senior year, I believe, of high school. My little sister comes along. And then I thought about it then, and then I had got so attached to my sister, and I was like, nah, I don't want to leave my sister. I can't. That's my baby. That's my girl. So I was like, all right, I ain't gonna go. So then I ended up going to college that next spring. Like after I graduated that fall in December in high school, I went to college. I started going to college in the spring of the next following year. So, in college, and I believe my dad got sick, and it kind of like put a toll on me a little bit. And then kind of fast forward, I was just like, man, I really want to go. I really want to go. And then the last time I was in a recruiter's office, me and a recruiter that I went to go see at the time, we became close. Like when I say we became very, very close, we became best of friends. And he was just kind of like helping me out, trying to go through the progress and trying to get everything set up. Then my mom comes and said, oh, well, I'm pregnant again. And that's when my brother comes along, and it kind of like prolonged everything else. So then I was just like, well, I can't go right now. My mom is pregnant again and da 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 da. I need to be here to kind of help my dad with my mom and all this other stuff. So I was like, well, when everything gets done and situated, then we can resume everything else. Well, when everything was back on good terms, she had the baby and all this other stuff. My mom was like ill between my brother and sister. She was like, after she gave birth, it was just like everything was just going left. So it kind of made everything longer than what it should have been, or. So then by that point, the years just went by. Then when I was like, all right, boom, okay, everything is back on track. Everything is good now. I'm ready to go ahead. So at that time, my recruiter had them retired by that time. So I'm like, dude, what is going on? Because like I said, it had been like 3 years now at this point. My brother's 3 at this point. So I'm like, all right, everything is good. And I was like, dang, within that 3 years since we last talked, 4 years since we last talked, you were still working, dude. And he was like, yeah, I just went on and retired. And I was like, what the world? He was like, but I can send you to another recruiter, whatever, and I can still help along the way, even though I am retired. He was just like, I can still give you pointers, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, cool. So he set me up with another recruiter that was, a really good, decent recruiter. He was nice and he was helpful and stuff like that. But something happened, and the other recruiter kind of screwed me up in a way to where when I was like, all right, I'm ready to go take the ASVAB. When it was time for me to go take the ASVAB, I had to take the ASVAB at a college. So got to the school, got to the college. I go in there and I'm there. I got there like 15-20 minutes early. And when I got there, the lady was just like, ma'am, you're not on my list, to take the ASVAB. And she's like, can I have your ID, please? And I was like, yes, ma'am. I hand her my ID. She typing on the computer. She looking on the list. And she was like, I just don't see your name on the list. So she was like, you might need to call your recruiter. So I called the recruiter who set me up, instead of calling the recruiter that I had been known for years, the one that retired. So I called the recruiter that set everything up first. So I called him like 3 or 4 times, couldn't get no answer, text him, nothing back. So then I was like, all right, let me call the recruiter that I had been working with that retired. So I called him and he picked up and he was like, hey, what's going on? I thought you was taking your ASVAB. I was like, yeah, I get here, blah, blah, blah. The lady saying I'm not on the list. And he was like, what? So he was like, well, did you call the recruiter? And I was like, yes, I did. I done called him like 4 or 5 times. He's not answering. I even text and nothing. So he was like, okay, well, I'm on my way to the school. I'll be there in about 10 minutes. I was like, all right, cool. So about 15 minutes later, he pulls up and he's talking to the lady, and he calls the recruiter to see what was wrong. So what happened was, he spelled my name wrong on the thing. So it was like I was a whole totally different person. Now, he had my last name right and he had my middle name right, but it was just like he spelled, instead of him put my full name, he just put Ta on the thing. So it was like Ta and then my middle name and my last name. That was it. That was all that he put. So when I went to go in there to take it, they're like, ma'am, you're not on the list. So it was just like weird. So then we had to go back and we had to reschedule for another date, because by this time the other recruits that were in there, they were already testing, so we had to wait. So now fast forward to now. I went on the GoArmy.com website, and I just pretty much just went in and just went on there, gave them my information, and was like, okay, I want to join. I was serious about joining, and got there. Walked the next following day after I had done fill out my information on the GoArmy.com. The next day or so, I had a recruiter reach out to me and was like, my local recruiter's office was reach out to me, and me and my staff sergeant now, my recruiter that I have now, we are like this. Like, when I say I can call this man, I can text this man, and I guarantee I am going to get a response from him. He's going to make sure that I have all the information that I need. He doesn't leave me high and dry. Like, he just own it, and that's what I love. I love that because he has worked so hard with me. Like, y'all, even with being patient, like every time he needed documentations, I always had it to him, like that same day or the next following day. Like, it was just, and it was the same way with me. If I needed something, trust and believe, before the end of the day is over with, I got everything that I need from him, and vice versa. So now back in 2023, I reached, my old recruiter that I hadn't spoken to in years reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm like, hey. And then when I finally realized who he was, I was like, oh my gosh, it's been about 5-6 years since we last spoke, and he had asked me how did everything go with the military, and I was just like, no, I didn't go. I ended up going back to college, and I am working on my doctorate degree in physical therapy, and I got about 1 or 2 more semesters left right now. And then it was just like boom, everything was just boom, 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 boom. So I was like, all right. So he was just talking to me. He was like, man, just going through the military and just finish it through there, then go on about your way. And I was like, yeah, that do sound right. So I was like, all right, I took it into consideration. So then I finally, like I said, went on the GoArmy.com, just filled out the little questionnaire thing, took the little quiz, and da-da-da-da-da. And like I said, the next day, my recruiter that I have now reached out to me and was just helpful. And then the next day, I went up to the recruiter's office where the recruiter that reached out to me office, and I'm just like, look, I'm ready to do this. Like, I was head on. I had everything that he could possibly think of. The day that I went, I think the only thing I didn't bring with me was like my transcript or my high school diploma. So then, like, he was like, well, I'm gonna need that, da 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 da. So just get that. Can we meet on another day? So I think we met like 2 days later. That gave me time to go up to the school to get my transcript, and he was just like, well, if you could just bring your transcript, I won't need your high school diploma because that'll show me that you graduated. And I was like, all right, cool. So the next day I went up to the school, got my transcript, made sure I had everything, met him. He took everything in, wrote everything down, sent everything over. I went and signed a bunch of papers, and he was like, all right, now I'm fixing to schedule you to go take the ASVAB test. And I believe that next following week, I went to go take the ASVAB, and he gave me like this little thing that I can like go and practice different types of questions that would be on the ASVAB. So it was like a ASVAB test, but it was like a practice test or whatever. So then the day comes that I take the ASVAB. I get there. I'm not going to say I was nervous. I was actually more relaxed, because normally when it comes to like taking tests like that, I don't know why, I just get nervous. Like, but that day I was not nervous at all. I was pretty cool, calm, and collect. So I met my recruiter at the recruiter's office. Me and like 3 other recruits were there. We all got on the van, and one of the recruiters drove us to Greenville to the ASVAB testing center, and we went to the ASVAB. Then once my group was done we all got back on the van, and the recruiter drove us back, and we met up with our recruits, and we talked about it a little bit, which our recruiter pretty much already had our stuff in anyways. And then he was just like, all right, the next step is your medical stuff. So I had to sign a medical document stating that I give them permission to run my medical and background. And he had already done my background, urine, and all that other stuff. So he already tested me anyways for any drugs, and of course I passed, and I can't do drugs anyways because of my job, because I work for the state anyways. That everything came back fine. So he was like, all right, well, the next step is I'm just waiting on MEPS to let me know if you're good to go to MEPS or whatever. Make sure they got everything they need. So then I want to say about a day or two later, he calls me and was like, hey, MEPS, you know about your pap smear, which I did talk about that in the previous video. I had a abnormal pap smear, which was the precancer cells. I did talk about that in the last video. And then I had a motor vehicle, which I did kind of touch base a little bit of that in the previous video. And basically, they just needed like the notes that the doctors had written in my thing. They could see like what exactly it was, but they just couldn't read the notes if the doctor said I was clear and everything was normal. So I had to print all of that stuff off and send it to them, everything related to those. Whatever they didn't ask for, I just didn't give, because like I said, it just wasn't a big deal to them. But whatever they needed, that they were saying that they needed, that's what I printed off for them. And then about 2 weeks later, about a week and a half later, he called me and was like, hey, you're cleared. I need you to go to the doctor and get checked out, make sure, and we need a doctor's note or a letter from him. So then the next day I went to my doctor first thing that morning, and he checked me out. He said, okay, everything looks good. He wrote my letter, handed me my letter. I went to my recruiter, dropped it off. And then that next week, later that week, he was like, hey, I need for you to go to MEPS next week, which was like that Thursday and Friday. And that was pretty much it. If needing a medical waiver, depending on what you have on your medical stuff, it does take a while depending on what you have on there. Just be patient. If not, it normally takes about a week or two before you hear back, depending on what it is and how severe, or how minor it is. It can take a little while. But that's pretty much been my process of, from when I first started up till I went to MEPS. So where I stand now is, now I am waiting to go back to MEPS, because I couldn't go over my contract and sign my contract and swore in just yet, because I had to get a tattoo waiver for my tattoo on my neck. I don't know if y'all can really see that, but yeah, I had to get a tattoo waiver for that on my neck, which at the time I was still waiting on my medical waiver, which it was on a Friday, and he was like 9 times out of 10 on Fridays, they don't really approve anything medically on Fridays, because by a certain time, they're ready to go. And I'm like, yeah, I feel that. So I pretty much waited and waited and waited and waited and waited. And still, if they still would have approved my medical waiver that day, I still wouldn't have been able to swear in anyways or go over my contract, because my recruiter had not done my tattoo waiver. And the recruiters at MEPS was like, why didn't they do that before you even came to MEPS? So that way everything would have been good. I would have been able to swear in and sign my contract that day. But since that wasn't done, I couldn't do it. So then Monday, that following Monday, my recruiter called and was like, medical waiver approved. So at the time they were saying that I had to go back to the doctor and get another letter. But since they went on and approved it, they went on and accepted my letter, the letter that I had already turned in from before. So that's how I was able to kind of really go to MEPS anyways. So they just went on and accepted that anyways, because my last 2 pap smears was normal anyways. So so now I have to wait to go to MEPS, and I should be going back to MEPS, if not this week, then probably next week. So that way I can go in and swore in and sign my contract and swore in. And so hopefully I don't have to go through like the actual physical part again. I'm probably gonna have to do another drug test, which I'm pretty sure, and another breathalyzer. I'm pretty sure I'm probably gonna have to do those over again. I'm pretty sure they're gonna do my height and weight over. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to go through those again. But the actual other process stuff, I don't think I really will have to go through that. That's something I would talk to my recruiter about. I will make another video kind of in between now and then. When I go back to MEPS, I will do like a little short mini movie clip of like the hotel that we stayed in at MEPS, and the food that the hotel had and stuff like that, and the food at MEPS. I will do all that in another video and stuff like that. But other than that, guys, I gotta go. It's time for me to go to work. Y'all hold it down. Y'all have a blessed and wonderful day or night wherever you are. Until next time, I will see y'all in the video, because knowledge is power and we are getting stronger together. I love y'all. Y'all be safe. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so that way you know when I post videos. Y'all be good. Y'all be easy. I love y'all. Take care. I'm out of here. Peace.